Hi everybody, it's time for another super easy but super yummy keto recipe. Today we will prepare a timballo. There is an Italian word that means like a dish baked and high layers like a lasagna. So now let's go and let's do this with great and fresh asparagus. I hope you will like it. As I've just anticipated, the star of today's low-carb, high-fat dish are these beautiful asparagus. Then you will need sliced cooked ham, Gruyere, that is a Swiss yummy cheese, grated parmesan, this is not yet grated but I will do that very soon, and finally for seasoning you will also need some pepper, salt and a little butter. Let's start by dicing our cooked ham, but be sure when you buy it to read very carefully all the ingredients because strange things can be added to this delicious charcuterie, so choose good quality. The great news are that you can also find smoked cooked ham, and that's delicious with asparagus. If you decide to prepare the smoked version of this dish, I highly recommend to use smoked scamorza instead of the Gruyere cheese. But talking about cheeses, it's time to use the blender and to transform this beautiful piece of parmesan into some fresh grated cheese. I prefer not to buy already grated parmesan for three reasons. Because it has less flavor, and reading the ingredients I found out that sometimes cellulose has been added in order for the cheese not to stick in bigger pieces. Cellulose is not dangerous, it's just paper, but I'd like to eat real cheese and not paper. A more alarming reason is that in the United States I found grated Parmesan cheese with antibiotics that don't allow any natural mold to grow. Last but not least, it's just because I love cooking and prepare my own food. Of course, I don't do Parmesan by myself, but having it freshly grated will give a delicious touch and much more flavor to all the dishes you will add it to. Now it's time to steam our asparagus. I prefer to use this cooking technique because they will maintain more flavor and they won't become too soft. But if you don't have any steaming tools, don't worry, just boil them in salty water, but drain all the water when your asparagus are still a little raw and hard, because we will end the cooking into the oven. Both if you steam or boil them, it's really important to cut the extremities of these veggies. As you've just seen, I cut only a very short part because these asparagus are very fresh, but usually you have to eliminate a bigger piece of their stem. Don't throw it away because you can use it in many other preparations. While we are waiting, we can slice the Gruyere, that will be the topping of our dish. This cheese is known as one of the finest for baking, and that's why we choose it for today's keto dish. You can usually find it together with Emmental in the famous fondue. That is a Swiss traditional melted cheese dish, served in a pot with a heating candle under it. You are supposed to put this portable stove in the middle of the table and to share this deliciousness with family and friends. Unfortunately, you are supposed to dip diced bread into it, but I'm sure we can find a more keto substitute and have fun anyway. Last step before baking is to prepare our plate by butter all the bottom part, so our cheesy dish won't stick to it and we will be able to serve it without any problem. Then we will add our steamed asparagus, the diced cooked ham, a layer of sliced Gruyere, some freshly grated Parmesan cheese, and we will be ready to assemble a second layer. I'm using a quite big baking dish, but if you prefer to have very high composition that will look exactly like a lasagna, feel free to use a smaller plate and to make as many layers as you like until you will reach the perfect height. Always remember to end your beautiful dish with a lot of grated Parmesan. This should be the last ingredient, so when you bake it, it will form a delicious crust. This is a great tip to use in all your baked veggies. Don't forget some salt, not too much because Parmesan is already full of flavor, and a little pepper if you like it. Then it's time for baking it. Your oven should be very hot at 225 degrees Celsius, that are approximately 450 degrees Fahrenheit, and you should use the ventilation cooking function. In this way, all the cheese will melt and the top of this dish will become deliciously crunchy. 10 minutes will be enough to have this yummy and beautiful keto creation. Our dish is so hot that it's better to wait a couple of minutes, so we have just the right time to watch outside the kitchen window and to see that it's definitely time to eat and to go out for a walk. This recipe is made with veggies that are the asparagus, meat, our cooked ham, and a lot of fat from the cheeses, so it can be presented as a main dish. Today we are going to eat it as our only course, but if you have guests, it's definitely nicer to serve it in smaller quantities as side dish. It's truly delicious anyway, especially on a very cold and sunny Swedish day. I really hope you liked today's recipe and you will consider subscribing to my channel. See you here with a ketogenic video in English every Monday, but also with the same video in Spanish on Wednesday and in Italian on Friday. But now let's go outside to visit beautiful Stockholm because it's a sunny day.